interesting development going on in the USA with Trump and RFK. So we can go back a few years to the truckers convoy here in Canada when Trudeau tried to totally ignore it. When that didn't work, then he went and brought in the UN to trample old ladies with horses and stuff like that. Total tyrannical. Now fast forward to Trump's second term. He's made it clear that any protests against what's happening in Israel, anti-Semitic protests, will be they can be deported. They can be the funding totally taken away from the universities if they don't do anything, and taking drastic measures. And he has put RFK Jr. into charge for taking care of this. And this is the crazy part. RFK Jr. is calling this a virus, a deadly virus. Like, what the heck is going on? So they first brainwashed us with the virus of COVID, which it might have been, I mean, the damage that COVID's caused was not near to what the Penchy costs. But, and now they're calling anti-Semitic virus a deadly virus that has to be drastic measures has to be taken to take care of it. A task force, are they going to send armed task force into the colleges now that do this? Anyways, this is crazy. Like I mentioned before, Trump had become a Jew in his first term, and that makes sense because he moved the diplomatic office of the U.S. from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, and now they're planning to build a temple this term with Trump, and so yeah, it's just wild what's going on. So you can see, and we can very fast see that there's really not much difference between the Democrats and the Republicans. Of course, Trump is better with immigrants, cutting that down, and with the military and with business and all that. Yeah, he's better that way. But still, if it comes to controlling people's voices, the First Ammandment of the United States, if they do what they say they're going to do to the protesters, to take away funding because of protesters, anti-Semitic protesters, this is wild. Like, he's attacking the First Amendment, and he's using RFK his department to do this. So what the heck? I mean, this is so crazy to me. This is so crazy. But anyways, another thing is this, that what are they protesting? Well, Egypt and other countries are actually preparing to go to war if Trump does what his plan is for Gaza. So what they're planning to do in Gaza is totally depopulate it, totally level it to the ground, so Trump can come in and buy it and redevelop it into a resort, the Gaza resort. He released a video. This is not just hearsay. Trump released a video, an AI video. You can find it. It's all over YouTube and I guess X. I don't go there, but it's all over the place. What his plans are for Gaza. So his plan is to build a resort there, and apparently it's going to have some very, very secure vaults and all that, so that the wealth of the world can be secure there. Which goes right along with what the Bible has been saying about the armies of the world coming against Jerusalem to take out the Antichrist and to get the wealth of the world. So that fits perfect in that regard. But those protesters are protesting Gaza's depopulation. and removing of everybody in Gaza. Okay, I mean, from the Jews' point of view, this could be a good thing because they're totally surrounded by Muslims, and mainstream media has indoctrinated the Muslims to hate the Jews, because it never used to be this way. It used to be that the Jews and the Muslims lived side by side, happy and all that. But the mainstream media has implemented this hate on for the Jews and the Muslims, so they hate each other. So and the final thing is this. I mean, this is what the plan was, is so that they have an excuse to come in, attack the Muslims, like happened after 9/11 and stuff like this, right? I mean, it's all a part of the plan. And Afghanistan, which was a total failure, and now Gaza, which Gaza I think is going to be a success, because it lines up too perfectly with the Bible. And so I'm thinking they'll succeed, but Egypt is actually preparing for war if Trump goes ahead and totally depopulates Gaza, either bomb them or deport them, whatever, move them, and buys Gaza. So the Muslim countries don't want this. So it's going to be a very interesting development. But the thing is, Israel is such a small nation, and they're totally surrounded by Muslims. So I can see why Israel would want this, and I can see why it will be pushed very hard to get this done. But what's going to be interesting is how the Muslim nations are going to take this. They're not going to take it lying down. So anyways, this is what the campuses are protesting, the students. I mean, I'm not saying they are right. I mean, they're probably right with how Israel's been bombing everybody, whether they're military or not. And I can see Israel's point of view, because the terrorists, they hide in houses and hospitals and all that, and churches. So, I mean, you get both sides of the stories, but you really don't get the whole shebang. So I can see both sides of the story, or you can see the point on both sides of the story. So we kind of got to take a middle, because they're both wrong. I think both sides are wrong. The Muslims for damn sure are wrong. For damn sure they're wrong. And the Jews, well, you can say they're protecting themselves, but they're going a bit too far. They're not being careful enough, I think, with civilians. And I think this time they've just crossed the line this time, with totally not taking care of civilians. And then you can say, yeah, but who's civilian, who's not? They're all indoctrinated. Well, I mean, that's kind of a gray area right there. But anyways, but this is interesting that RFK Jr. calls the anti-Semitic protesters and protesters that are against the Jews a virus, a deadly virus. I mean, this is not far from what Trudeau was during the truckers' convoy here in Canada. And I totally condemn this talk of Trudeau, of Trump and RFK, how they're talking about those protesters. I mean, what the hell does the First Amendment mean? Come on. I mean, they're on a very slippery slope, those guys, right now. So that is my take on it. That's kind of what I see happening. From the sources I have, and I'll pin my source on the bottom.